Alright, it's your boy Savage Woods, and welcome to my channel. If you're new here, I make copyright free music, aka royalty free music for streamers, YouTubers, editors, and brands, and anybody that needs music that can get cleared instantly. Okay, so if you're looking for music that's not going to give you any copyright issues, especially on YouTube, head to the description, click the link, and grab exclusive tracks from the Savage Sound library that you cannot license anywhere else. Okay. All right. So today's topic is critical for anybody that's in music creation, licensing, branding, or even content use. Even a major artist can run into big trouble if they do not do their homework on what the beats they're licensing. So today we're gonna walk through a recent case involving Flo Milli and her hit single and use it as a roadmap of what not to do. All right, I'm gonna show you what went wrong and why you need your business in writing. All right, let's dive in. So here's the summary. Here's the background. In June 2025, it was reported that Flo Milli is facing a copyright infringement lawsuit over her 2023 hit Never Lose Me. The allegation is that the track used an instrumental that had already been exclusively licensed to somebody else previously. So more specifically, a Baltimore-based songwriter and artist named Shamar Deal claims that he bought an exclusive license on the website, aka the instrumental marketplace Track Train, for the beat titled You, and it was produced by Jero Katana. The lawsuit says Katana relicensed the same beat to artists Babyface Ray and 42 Doug for their track Ron Artest, and then Flo Milli's Never Lose Me allegedly samples or incorporates pieces of Ron Artest, which means it samples the beat that was already sold exclusively. So this thing has been relicensed twice, essentially. Now, as a producer who sold exclusive tracks to artists, I don't sell those tracks after that. Anyway, plaintiff is seeking at least $1 million in damages. Okay, so Never Lose Me had enormous commercial success, peaked at number 15 on the Billboard Hot 100, and it had hundreds of millions of streams and then some. Bottom line, a major artist, major label, major hit, but the claim is that the foundational beat was not properly cleared, and that's the kind of risk that we all need to understand. Okay, so why does this matter to you? Why should you care, even if you're not a superstar, even if you're not a recording artist, right? The mechanics of clearance, licensing, and ownership apply to everybody, whether you're an artist or if you're just using this in a YouTube video, okay, as a content creator. So there's exclusive and non-exclusive licenses, and in this case, Deal claims he bought it exclusive, which means it's not supposed to get licensed to anybody else. He had a 10-year duration on that. That should have been upheld, right? Okay. Can't do that can't have anything happen without the exclusive license owner's consent. And usually it's bought exclusive because they don't want anybody else to use it. So you can get consent all day or try to, but like they're probably not gonna give it to you, right? And then there's non-exclusive where it's been leased out to many, and you run the risk of many people using that beat, right? An exclusive beat means you're the only one using it. Okay, the contract is everything. And then there's derivative works, right? So even if you clear a beat, if somebody used it earlier or somebody reused your beat in another track, you could inherit risk. And in this case with Flo Milli, the original chain is the beat was Ron Artest, then it was Never Lose Me, a sample of a sample, and that makes it real complicated. So whenever you use a beat, you got to know who owns the composition, what the license allows, and what composition, or if the composition has been like licensed, resampled, etc. Right? Now, getting your business decisions in writing is a key thing. This can't be a handshake like, "Oh, I got you, bro." No, we want and you want documented contracts that outline exclusivity, non-exclusivity, define use cases, terms, etc. Okay, so with Flo Milli, that beat was relicensed before she even got to it. She really didn't stand a chance, and that's not cool, bro. So that's why your business got to be documented. Major label, big artist equals immune? No, it doesn't. Many artists assume, "Oh, I'm big, they'll sort it out for me." But this case lets you know that major label distribution, hundreds of millions of streams, hey, you still want to have that license properly, right? The scale of success can amplify any damages that you receive. So if you're a small creator and you think, "Oh, they'll never sue me," hey man, risk is risk, and you never know how big, your content or your music or whatever you do could get, right? And if you don't have your licenses on point, I don't know what to tell you, bro. Now, as somebody that's creating music or using it, you want to have your foundational building blocks on point. The beat, instrumentation with a contract, okay? If you're doing it as an artist, you need your splits spelled out, So whether you buying a beat, right, licensing it for clients or brands, the same rules apply. Get it in writing and understand what you're allowed to do with it. So let's walk through a quick little what if, right? What should have happened? And this is a checklist that you can apply to you, okay? And it's inspired by this case. First off, identify that beat and its history. If you're buying and using it, who produced it? Has it already been licensed? Has it been licensed exclusively, right? Have the previous licenses already been issued? Are there any derivative works? So in the Flo Milli case, the beat was You, and it was licensed to Deal. Then it was relicensed to Babyface Ray and 42 Doug. And I know why he did that. I know why he did that, because it's a placement, bruh. And you're more likely to get more money off that. It's not cool though. But yeah. Now make sure it's documented. Exclusive license means specifically this. Blah 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 blah. Non-exclusive license. It's clearly defined. Time, territory limited, usage rights, blah 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 blah. Like literally it has to be spelled out. Make sure you got that written contract signed and it specifies the rights you have. Now, in case you're the, producer or music creator, make sure you have that contract with the licensee. Make sure you get documentation of them signing it and agreeing to it, okay? And usually this is done through like beat store marketplaces where there's like an automatic update of, like the contract is dynamic. So if somebody, there's like fields for them to fill out and then they sign, right? That's like the best case and best practice that you should follow. Now, make sure you are registering and documenting your own rights. So if you're an artist, register your song. If you are the producer, register the song, bruh. Make sure that it's out there and findable, right? Because at the end of the day, if you don't document properly, you're going to run into issues, okay? Now, as the producer, monitor the distribution and usage of your song. Like getting a big hit is dope, but it also draws a lot of attention and risk. So if the track blows up, you want to make sure that you're in order, right? Especially if you're going to have to end up going to sue somebody, okay? And don't relicense exclusive beats. That's stupid. Now, if you are in the copyright-free and royalty-free music market, this is what the Savage Sound Library can do for you, okay? I make all of my music from scratch, and I make sure that we have contracts, documentation in place. So, for example, if you're a music artist and you like the copyright-free, royalty-free music that you see and hear from me, what we can do is I can sell it to you exclusively, and then if you're open to it, I can handle the distribution, and we can relicense this song in the Savage Sound Library, so that gives us an additional revenue stream. Everything else will remain the same, right? As an artist, you still will put out the song, still promote it, do whatever you do. We would still have the same type of splits we normally would have, but in the Savage Sound Library, if somebody wants to license that track for a YouTube video or anything, we can get some upfront money and even some back end money off of that, depending on how big the situation is. If we get a sync deal, we can go ahead and split the upfront money. Like this is big for artists too. This isn't just for those who need copyright free and royalty free music. Now, obviously, you need to contact me, let me know you like the beat, and we can work out the deal. But like that's the thing. On the copyright free and royalty free side, though, if you need a beat, a song, and you want to use it, you can head to savagesoundlibrary.com. Links in my description, links in the bio, and you can get you a license. Now, there's several licenses to choose from. All right. There's subscriptions. There's a lot of different things. You can get access to a lot of tracks. And again, this is not music you can find anywhere else as far as, being able to license it royalty free, copyright free. Okay. And I'm going to make sure our contract is on point so we understand what we're doing. We can move forward, no headaches. Brands that need content, holla at me. All right. So before we wrap it up, 3 key takeaways you should absolutely remember on both sides of it. Okay. Contracts matter, whether you licensing or being licensed to. Get it in writing. Okay. Now, understanding that chain of rights. If this beat has been sold exclusively before, you shouldn't even be marketing it. But if you find something, ask if it's been sold before. Okay. All right. And finally, and most importantly, make sure you are working with brands that you feel that you can trust. If they delivered before, go back to them, right? You don't need to reinvent the wheel. Of course, work with new people when you feel like, okay, this is aligned. But once you find somebody that's doing what you need them to do for you and with you, that's who you should lock in with. So to wrap it all up, I appreciate y'all. And just know that whether you're a big artist or a small artist, you got to get your paperwork right because you can get sued. Simple as that. All right. If you found this video helpful, make sure you hit like, subscribe, share, drop a comment. And I got a question for y'all. What's the biggest challenge that you face with licensing or any kind of music rights? I'll dig through the comments and then we can talk more about it. So I appreciate y'all watching all the way to the end. All right. Stay lit and I'll see you in the next one.